Hey there, thank you. Welcome to the Film Fan Club Show. I'm Sam Carrico. It's our special Halloween episode of the Film Fan Club Show. Nonetheless, we still got a lot of movie news to get to. Hayden Christensen is officially returning to the role of Darth Vader in the upcoming Ahsoka Tano series that nobody asked for. Disney previously announced that Christensen would be appearing as the Dark Lord of the Sith in the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, further solidifying the fact the best that Disney Star Wars has to offer is just the worst of the prequel era. It was also announced last week that a whole slew of movies were being delayed. Most of the affected titles were Marvel releases, but the biggest victim was actually the fifth Indiana Jones film. It was pushed back nearly a year, going from July 2022 to its current release date of June 30th, 2023. Plot details are still under wraps, but rumored titles include Raiders of the Continental Breakfast, Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Silver Bedpan, and of course, Indiana Jones and the Last Hospital Visit. Batwoman actress Ruby Rose dropped a bombshell on social media when she detailed allegations of misconduct on the set of the CW series, saying in part, quote, "They ruined Kate Kane and they destroyed Batwoman." And I think both fans and critics of Ruby Rose can at least agree that she's got a point there. Finally, tragedy struck the film industry last Thursday when I read that Alec Baldwin has a new movie coming out. In all seriousness, everybody here at the Film Fan Club Show offers their deepest condolences to the family of Helena Hutchins, and of course our thoughts are with the cast and crew of the movie Rust. Nonetheless, we have a great show for you lined up. Later on, we'll be talking to the Ghouls on Film about the Netflix series Mass. But first, Cornelius Hawker joined me to talk about Halloween Kills, and be warned, his interview will have spoilers. Okay, joining me now, returning champion, friend of the show, my friend Cornelius Hawker. How are you, buddy? It's good to see you again.
I am doing well. Thanks so much for having me on this show about Halloween, because I am a huge Halloween Michael Myers fan.
Well, whenever this movie was coming out, I don't know if it got delayed or not because of the COVID-19 pandemic, but whenever it was coming out and I saw the release date got finalized, I was like, okay, Cornelius is going to be my guest that week, because I know you're a big fan. I have seen the original 1978 film, but it's been a few years. And then I skipped the 2018 film, which I found was a huge mistake, because I did see Halloween Kills the other night. I enjoyed it for the most part. I had a couple issues that we'll get into, but I was a little bit lost. So I did some research. I realized there's multiple timelines, I guess, in the Halloween franchise. They're not all
Yes.
just one. What I did find interesting, though, was this movie picks up right where the 2018 film left off. So in this timeline, I'm getting the sense that it's just Halloween 1978. Like you said, he is no longer her sister, or she's no longer his sister. He goes straight to jail after that. And then 40 years later, Halloween 2018 happens. And then immediately after Halloween 2018, like literally moments after, this movie happened. And as a person who hadn't seen Halloween 2018, I was a little put off by it. And so I think the film I like the continuity, but I think it does suffer a little bit, like especially with Jamie Lee Curtis's storyline. She's kind of restricted because they set it so close to the previous movie. What did you think of that choice to set it right after? And then how do you think it affected the story?
I was okay with it because it was nice to see all of the other characters that were impacted by the trauma of Michael Myers come to the forefront, whether it was Tommy Doyle, Lindsay Wallace, Lonnie Elam, and then of course her daughters, and then like the older people, Sheriff Brackett, his daughter died in 1978. I was fine with the time frame being how it was, the same night, but there are lots of people who aren't.
Yeah, I guess, like I said, I appreciate when movies reference it, like I like it when Quantum of Solace, the James Bond movie, picks up right where Casino Royale leaves off. And as a James Bond fan, I like it because I know the movies really well. So I could totally get where you're coming from with that. I did like you mentioned, the trauma aspect of it's not just Laurie Strode, but it's a lot of people in this town. I liked those people kind of getting moments. I mean, it's really unfortunate, the way they end up in this film because it's a Michael Myers film. But like, I do like them kind of getting to take some ownership, and they're like, all right, no, we're going to go end it. We're going to go end this guy. But it does get a little bit dark with that aspect of the story in the hospital scene in the middle of the film. Did you find that jarring at all, or is that something that's right up this franchise's alley?
It was very different. And if you, again, watch interviews with Jamie Lee Curtis, she wanted this movie, this trilogy, to be a commentary of sorts on our current what's happening here in our world in the United States, but and beyond, but I guess specifically here. So she wanted it to reflect things that we would see in our everyday lives. So there's a scene where they're trying to tell them that that's not Michael Myers, and she actually yells, "You fucking sheep! It's not him." And you know, was that a corny line? Did I think, why are they doing that? Did I get it? Yes. Come on, you fucking sheep. We live in 2021. You know what she's getting at.
Right. And I love, okay, so I watched this with a friend. I saw it in the theater. I don't know about you. I really enjoyed it. There was a packed house. So like even though I'm not a big fan of the franchise, I felt like it was so great to be there with other people that were, and like they were like laughing at the scenes they needed to laugh at. But whenever I was there, me and the person my friend that I was seeing it with, we loved Big and Little John. They were so funny. And then some of the side characters were really good. And it's always so, I mean, of course they're all gonna die. Very sad to see these characters die, but the kill scenes I think made it worth it. What did you think of some of the kills? You mentioned it's pretty gratuitous.
Yeah, I was not a fan of many of the kills.
Really?
The older couple, it's just like, okay, you kill them and then you stab them 5 times or 4 times, and the woman, the older woman, you stab her with a fluorescent light. Um, they were very uncharacteristically Michael Myers. The Michael Myers we've come to know, even in the Rob Zombie ones. Yeah, it kind of felt, again, it felt like they're pulling elements from all the other movies, even though they're retconning them. So with the Rob Zombie one, yeah, that felt like Rob Zombie's Michael Myers. Um, yeah, I wasn't a big fan of. I mean, I don't any of the kills really. It just the firefighter killing, that was kind of cool. I will
Right.
say that. Um, but even that felt like, okay, this dude's, how old is he? Like 62. Like he's
Yeah.
moving, and so again, it pulls like he's supernatural, which that was also a part of the like Halloween 4, 5, and 6. Like he's not a man, and you hear them, saying lines like, "The more he kills, the more he transcends."
I was going to ask
So
about that. Is he literally immortal? Because I think it's some of the previous movie that he's basically literally immortal in some of the previous ones. But in this one, I thought it was going to be a more realistic take. But is he immortal?
it's looking to be that way. And again, it just borrows from the prior films. How do you kill him? Well, you try to burn him, he doesn't die. You shoot him 6 times, he doesn't die. And I think that these directors, especially for the Halloween fans who know the series, like getting all the town riled up. That was the premise of Halloween 4. He kills all the police officers, or the sheriff's department, so they have a lynch mob and they're trying to go out and find him. So that was, a direct take from Halloween 4, even though that doesn't exist anymore. The killing, that was so out of Rob Zombie's movies. That's how it felt. Um, One scene that was characteristically Michael Myers was whenever he was stalking Lindsay Wallace into the park.
I was going
And
to say that was a really good scene, I thought.
that was a great scene. And that was the only scene that felt like, truly, this is the Michael Myers from 1978. Not like running up on people and kicking doors and making
Yeah.
people shoot themselves in the face. Um, yeah, stabbing the nurse, Marion Chambers, in the car, that felt like Michael Myers. But
Yeah.
then the guy in the eye, that didn't feel like Michael Myers. But I'll have to say, the scene that truly felt like, to me, yeah, this is a Halloween movie. It was him chasing Lindsay Wallace into the park. It just felt like, yeah, this is the stalking that we know and we've come to love. So yeah, I love the movie. Um,
It does sound like
but
you're a little bit more mixed on it though than I thought you would be.
well, I love the movie because it's a Halloween movie, but I can see criticisms and things that I would have changed to make it different. And so now my question for you is, are you going to watch Halloween 2018 soon?
I am, yes. Actually, I guess to end it, I did really like Halloween Kills. It's not a perfect film. There are flaws in it. I was a little confused not having seen Halloween 2018, but it's a fun ride. And it's spooky season. It's exactly what I need. So yeah, I couldn't find Halloween 2018 on streaming easily when in preparation for this, but now I've made it my mission to go hunt it down. Do you see yourself coming back to these 2018 and 2021 movies, or do you like often in whenever you are rewatching the franchise, or do you think it's just going to be those first few?
I like 2018. I've watched it several times. I like the action. I like seeing Jamie Lee Curtis and Michael Myers go at it. That's what was missing from this movie because it just kind of felt like, man, okay, he's killing other people, but you want to see those two go head to head.
I couldn't agree more.
Will I watch Halloween Kills
Ends.
again? I'm not so sure. It just will I watch it again? Sure. But do I watch Halloween Resurrection? No. Um, do I watch Halloween 4 often? No. So yeah, actually my favorite one out of the whole franchise is Halloween 2.
And it's all coming to a head in Halloween Ends, I think, is next
Yeah.
year's movie. How does your excitement for that one measure up?
It'll be interesting to see how they do Halloween Ends because there's going to be a time jump. It's not going to be the same night. It's going to be a few years, I think. Not
That's what I was
here.
thinking. I was like, with the ending to this Halloween Kills, I was like, okay, surely the next one is going to pick up right after this one. But they're doing a COVID-19 pandemic storyline, I guess. So they're going to address it. I heard, and it's going to be a time jump and set in present day, right?
Yeah, I don't want to take that literally because,
Okay.
did they address politics in this one?
You
No,
could say a little bit, but kind of not really.
but it wasn't like dead smack in your face. She called them fucking sheep.
Exactly. Yeah.
So there's lots of context and like clues. So I don't think it's going to be literally, oh my gosh, we're in a pandemic and we've got to wear masks and
Okay.
nothing like that. But I think that it'll again be like subtle hints to what's going on in our climate socially, whether it's political, what's happening in Hollywood, like just a cultural flashpoints. I think that is what these movies have been tackling, cultural flashpoints.
Cornelius Hawker, very well said. It's always a pleasure having you on the show. Look forward to having you again.
Thanks so much, Sam.
Okay, joining me now, it's Chris Rose and Victoria Moore, the Ghouls on Film. Thank you so much for joining me, ladies. How are you?
Good. Thank you for having us.
Good.
I was really excited whenever I saw your events popping up on Facebook because it seemed like this type of stuff is right up my alley. But obviously, you guys are kind of a new operation. So could you just give me a little bit of background on how you guys got started and what you guys are up to?
Sure. Yeah. So we actually know each other through the book world more than the film world.
I used to own a bookstore.
And I currently own a bookstore.
Okay.
So that's how we got to know one another. And then Chris had a meeting set up with Rodeo Cinema in Oklahoma City and just like let me tag along. And that's kind of what got the ball rolling.
I kind of roped her into it. I was like, you want to go to Oklahoma City with me? I'm doing this meeting for this, screening opportunity. And then before you know it, I was just like, well, we're partners now. So we should do more of this. And
I was happy to be roped in.
Yes.
To be fair.
We're both horror nerds, fanatics. Her bookstore concentrates a lot on female-centered horror, horror written by female authors or, with female protagonists. Not exclusively, but predominantly.
Yeah, we have a horror lit book club and we read only books by like female authors or authors of a marginalized gender, basically.
I'm interested though, what is it about the horror genre that you guys find so attractive?
I think for me, I actually wrote about this in a zine that I have out called The Final Girl, How Horror Movies Made Me a Better Feminist. Growing up in a kind of a not great, childhood, kind of the abuse was present and stuff. And horror movies to me were something that I related to, and I saw other people kind of going through stuff and overcoming it and surviving it. And I kind of like saw that a lot of those girls as role models, you know, like if they could get through it, I can get through it, even though it's a more exaggerated you know, form of what I was experiencing. There was still that, you know, being able, that relatability, and also just being a woman. You know, in horror movies, the female protagonist, when something bad happens, she's usually just living her life. The horror kind of finds them. You know, they aren't necessarily looking for trouble, but trouble finds them because they're vulnerable. You know,
I've always been drawn to spooky stuff, even though as a kid I was incredibly easily scared. I think there's something to being a person with pretty severe generalized anxiety. A horror lit or film gives me somewhere to focus that anxiety instead of it just being this thing floating in the air over everything. It's focused on one specific thing happening, and I think there's something very weirdly comforting about that.
What has been the reception to what you guys have been up to so far?
I think pretty good, pretty positive. Our first event was a screening of Whatever Happened to Baby Jane at the Rodeo Cinema. And on top of showing the film, we gave a short introduction, gave a little bit of the history, and then we had a drag performer sing or lip sync Betty Davis Eyes before the screening, and people got into that. And you know, there were a few bumps in the road, but it was our first time out, so we, you know, obviously take notes on what we can do better next time. And there's a lot of excitement, I feel like, for our drive-in event, which will be a double feature, Return of the Living Dead and Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, two just excellent films. And then also a Halloween market, and my friend Crispy Knight is doing carnival performances.
Yeah, just like a lot of interest and a lot of support so far. And
we made these t-shirts.
Yeah,
Dan Rocky designed them, and it has, you know, Leatherface, and then it has the tank monster from Return, and the lady who's like, it hurts,
Yeah.
you know. So and then trash on the drive-in screen, because everybody, you know, trash is a main part of Return of the Living Dead. But everyone's been so great to work with. Sean and Julia at the Rodeo Cinema in OKC, so easy to work with, so encouraging, so supportive, so sweet. And then Blake at the Admiral has just been like, do whatever, guys, you know,
like free reign.
Nice.
Yeah.
The Admiral is such a good spot to have to
Yeah.
It's such a good venue though for like movies too in Tulsa. I love seeing horror movies there, so the vibe there is just perfect. There's a lot of good opportunities to talk about horror nowadays, you know, not only everything that has been going on locally in Tulsa, but it seems like, I mean, I just saw Halloween Kills last night. I'm talking about Midnight Mass earlier, and I realize we're all at different stages of it. I've seen all of it, and then you guys have seen 4 episodes and 0 episodes respectively. None of us will go into spoilers here,
right,
but I'd like to share my brief opinion, and then we'll kind of go down the line. I really enjoyed it. I was raised Catholic, and I found it to be a really great take on fanaticism mixed with some supernatural type of stuff. The ending has a lot of not really surprises, because it kind of follows a natural course, but it was really, like, I found it to be really good, and I think you'll enjoy it when you get there. But okay. I was obsessed with this show for like a week straight. So, I mean, that's just kind of my preamble. But where are you guys at with your respective levels of viewing?
I love Mike Flanagan. I haven't really watched anything of his that I didn't like. I haven't seen Before I Wake all the way through, but I love Oculus and Absentia, and I love
Oculus.
I love Oculus is so good.
Yeah.
Except for the very ending shot really bothers me, but that's a whole other thing. I thought Haunting of Hill House was great. I thought Haunting of Bly Manor was great.
I love Bly Manor.
I think his series in particular, and I mean Oculus as well, are family, like really moving family dramas that happen to have scary elements and ghosts in them.
Yeah.
And that really works for me. Like I'm so excited for Midnight Mass. I hate that I haven't had a chance to watch it yet. So I'm so stoked. I think he's great, and his shows, like, I find emotionally, like, his shows will emotionally wreck me, but in a way that I find very satisfying.
Yeah,
So,
it
looking forward to
definitely
it.
is like has that family drama, and there's like several family dramas going on in Midnight Mass too. And
Absolutely.
I was also raised Catholic, so I definitely relate to a lot of what's going on. I love the setting. I love the setting of the isolated fishing village that's an island, and like the kind of dilapidated buildings and people are getting out. I'm like, where did they shoot this? I want to go visit this place. It looks amazing. Um, but it also obvious nods to Stephen King in the setting, and the kind of fishing village and the working class, characters, and the younger people trying to get out and break away and then finding themselves coming back. I like the way that the main character, that is not Hamish Linklater. By the way, I will watch
love Hamish
anything with
Linklater.
Hamish Linklater in it. Anything.
He's
I
so good.
love him. And I like his storyline. I like, the possible redemption arc for him without spoiling anything. I really like his kind of the way that they portray on screen his kind of guilt
Mhm.
that manifests every night when he tries to go to sleep. I thought that was really well done and really spooky.
Oh, you're talking about Riley, the main
Yes,
character. Yeah,
Riley.
gotcha.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the kind
I
of
thought
when
that
they're
was really well done too. It's what
Yeah.
what's kind of goes to what Victoria was talking about, which was taking not everyday trauma, but taking real life trauma and
Yes.
presenting it in a really spooky way. I agree. I also love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I mean, Haunting of Hill House is this heartbreaking family story that has spooky ghosts in it.
Mhm.
I loved Hill House. I thought it was really good. Bly Manor, I thought was good. A step down. There's one episode, it's the flashback episode towards the end of the season that I just did not enjoy. And it kind of like left the whole series with a bad taste in my mouth. But so I was like, okay, well, Midnight Mass is his third effort for Netflix now. So is he kind of losing it? I think this shows that this is a passion project for Mike Flanagan, based on, like you said, the book being in Gerald's game. There's a lot of, I think, there's a couple of references to Midnight Mass throughout his works. And I think it shows, because this is just, I think it's really good.
Obviously been working on this idea for a while.
It's such a really well told story, with each character having, I think that each character is really well developed. You mentioned the Father Paul, the priest character is really well developed. It's just
Even
it's
the religious
really
fanatic character. And that's another nod to Stephen King. I feel like that Stephen King always has a religious zealot character, usually a woman too.
We both mentioned, I guess, being raised Catholic. What do you think that the show is trying to say about religion? Is it? I think you could make arguments that it's anti or just neutral on religion, but like, what do you think it's saying about Catholicism versus fanaticism and that sort of thing? Because I think it's really interesting.
I would say with the two characters, like Father Paul is such a sweet and well-intentioned character, in the beginning. And his faith is so pure that he sees an angel where others might see a demon. And then there's the religious zealot character. I can't remember her name.
Bev, yeah, who is, by the way, Bev is the most annoying character in this whole series, meant to be, but
dog, possibly.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, she's terrible.
Which is horrible. I mean, that's the only spoiler I'll give people, because I need to be forewarned before a dog dies in any movie that I'm watching.
Yeah, so glad you mentioned that. There's a lot of animal death actually in this, even in the first episode with the cats. It's really unsettling. So, but I'm glad that there was a reason for it, because it's all explained eventually why this all happens, and it's a spooky show. But yeah, I'm glad you mentioned it, because some people might be put off by that.
The scene in Midnight Mass is so horrible. And Bev, she's the perfect example of someone who uses religion as a weapon against the other. And it turns out that she's maybe kind of a thief and a crook, at the same time. And Joe and Riley, when they come to Father Paul for their AA meetings or whatever, I feel like that's a more pure way to use that power that religion has over people, to not judge and to be accepting of the sinners, whereas Bev is like, you're all sinners and I'm better than all of you and you all deserve, whatever you get because you're bad.
Yeah.
Whereas Father Paul kind of wants to bring the sinners into the fold with kindness and compassion.
Guys, thank you so much. I think it's it's easy to say that we all are really excited about Midnight Mass. We all have really enjoyed it, considering whether we've just seen the trailers, the first 4 episodes, or the whole series. And anybody watching this, they should probably also watch it. But if you're in the Tulsa area, I wanted to give you guys a chance to talk about what you guys are working on in the future. What can people expect for the rest of spooky season?
So we have in Kendall Whittier in Tulsa, we're doing Hallow Whittier, which will be like a little trick-or-treat event, and we'll end with an outdoor like movie screening with music at Heirloom on October 30th.
I think we're considering Haxen, the 1922 German film, just because it has so many great visuals in it, and it's a silent era movie, so people won't have to like pay close attention to the plot because they'll be drinking.
And then on Halloween day itself,
I have Haxploitation Halloween. So at OK Number 1, I'm going to do a screening of What's the Matter with Helen, starring Debbie Reynolds and Shelley Winters. So apparently there was a scene where her character was supposed to stab Debbie Reynolds with a rubber knife, but when Debbie went to check the prop knife, it had been replaced with a real knife.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Like, I love Shelley Winters for that reason, like she's just so much. She's so extra, everything about her.
Method actor, perhaps.
Oh yeah. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about the genre of haxploitation and like its origins and like, other movies in the genre and what it's kind of about and encompasses. So that should be fun. Hopefully people will come out.
And then we plan to keep doing spooky themed events outside of Halloween season. I said holiday season.
Well, it is the holiday season for us.
So we'll have some stuff going on in November and December as well, but we're still kind of confirming some details.
Yeah,
there.
We'll possibly have another event at Rodeo before the end of the year. We're just working out a good time and looking at schedules and things. So
a lot to look forward to. Of course, like I said, I'll put all the relevant links in the description of this video. The Ghouls on Film, thank you so much for joining me, and I hope that I can have you back. Thank you.
Absolutely. It was so much fun. Thank you.
And finally, I think it's time that we accept that new media isn't so new anymore. We told you a couple weeks ago about the IATSE negotiations that almost led to a strike. A huge sticking point in those negotiations has been how the union deals with streaming. Since 2009, streaming companies like Netflix and Hulu have been officially recognized as new media by IATSE. Since releasing a movie on streaming was less of a sure thing in 2009 than a traditional theater route, streaming companies got more leeway with how much they had to pay union employees. The problem is now, 12 years and 1 pandemic later, streaming content is the name of the game. Movies made exclusively for theaters are fighting to survive, while you on Netflix is bringing in viewers with ease. Working for Netflix, Hulu, or Amazon is becoming the norm in Hollywood, and people are starting to realize they've been missing out on that success. In addition to lower rates, streaming companies didn't have to pay employees residuals, which can often be considered retirement for people working in Hollywood. So where are we now? Last week, IATSE leadership reached a tentative agreement with the AMPTP to avert a nationwide strike. The deal includes 10-hour turnaround times, increased meal penalties, and a minimum wage increase for workers on set. But many IATSE members are dissatisfied with the new deal. LA-based cinematographer Ernesto Lamoli told Variety, quote, "I have not heard a single person saying they will vote yes." Last week, IATSE leadership released specific talking points regarding how this agreement affects streaming, and to say the least, the response wasn't great. AJ Cataline says, quote, "With existing streaming shows excluded and projects the streamers put into pre-production with a union by next August 2022 also excluded, I guess many IATSE and editors won't get the benefits in the new wage increases. Do I read that right?" Anthony Pettix writes, Quote, not looking for vague language, need clear-cut raises, need 12-hour turnaround and no more Fraturdays, need PAs unionized, need you to fight for what union members actually want, not try to sell us on mediocre vagueness. Oscar Perez agrees, saying, quote, 10-hour turnaround isn't enough, and maybe I missed it, but this doesn't seem to address limits on daily shooting hours. Vote no. So I know that you've been reading articles about how they've reached an agreement and this IATSE strike has been averted, for now, and it has, for now. But keep an eye on this story, because this is just the beginning. Okay, that's our show. I'd like to send a special thank you to the Ghouls on Film, as well as my friend Cornelius Hawker for joining me this week. Happy Halloween, guys. We'll be doing a special live stream for you this weekend. I'll see you then.